Hi, this is Stacey Toy, and you're listening to
the FSF Popcast, your home for the all-nerdy, no-dirty interviews with people in our sci-fi and pop culture world. Our guest today is Stacey Toy. Now, if you watch or follow a show called Fanroom Live, which I'm a fan of the Fanroom, then you're already familiar with Stacey. She and her co-host bring in a lot of celebrities for a unique and virtual one-on-one experience, unlike anything that I've seen out there. It's a really cool experience. So make sure that you go check that out. You guys are going to want to. But first and foremost, welcome to the show, Stacey.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be on here, and I'm so excited that you got a chance to be a part of the last fan room. So you got to experience it and now understand what it's like when Cedric the Entertainer, the other producer of the show, he's like, be in the room. That's what he always says. And so you were in the room. So thank you very much, Tim. I appreciate that. And I hope you had fun.
I had a blast. It was a great time.
Yay.
So.
Well, yeah. we have Tommy Chong coming up at the end of this month. We're going to be interviewing. So essentially, Fan Room, for people who don't know what Fan Room is, it was something that me and my friends and I all kind of came up with during COVID because we couldn't work in the entertainment industry. So it was Cedric the Entertainer, Mitch Faulkner, Jeff Krause, and Jay Benjamin. And we started doing this last year, and it just kind of gained some traction. But essentially, you come on, you get a virtual link, or you get a link to join us on the show, and then you get a one-on-one chance to interview and ask questions to your favorite celebrity. So, like I said, with Tommy Chong coming up, we can have a lot of different people come in and ask fun questions. I mean, Cheech and Chong, it's huge. But in the past, we've had Joey Belladonna from Anthrax. We've had Ice-T and Coco. We've had Jessica Parker Kennedy from The Flash. Paul White, who's running the AEW and the Big Show. He was the former Big Show. I mean, so as far as guests, it is everywhere. And now we're also streaming on a bunch of different platforms, and we're in like 180 countries right now with like 360 million viewers.
That's huge.
And we're growing. It's like a year old. And it was just something we kind of did and threw together because COVID took away the film industry. And so we kind of all just ended up coming together and saying, what can we do? So we just invented it out of a bad situation, which is my favorite kind of projects to do.
For me, one of the cool things was because I was in for the Joey Belladonna one that you mentioned. And so, here I am talking to the lead singer of Anthrax about football. That's what he and I talked about. We talked about football because I was wearing a Detroit Tigers hat, and we started talking about that because it's I think it's this one right here. Actually, my Red Wings hat. See, that one. But it's my St. Patrick's Day Irish Red Wings hat, and we were talking about that, and then come to find out he's a Minnesota Vikings fan, and we're talking about the NFC North and football, and nothing that I ever anticipated sitting down and talking to Joey Belladonna about. And I think that to me was what kind of sealed it for being as cool as it was. It was not your typical conversation that you're going to have. You have the opportunity to really talk to him about anything, really.
Yeah, and you never get that opportunity, even when you do go behind the scenes or to do a meet and greet when you're in person at a concert, because everyone is always usually just filing through, oh, I love you, have a picture, have an autograph. Right. Okay, thanks. So this is actually like 2 to like 3-4 minutes where you actually, like you said, get to talk football with the lead singer of Anthrax. Like, who gets to do that normally? Because you have more time. You did.
The only experience I've had even close to that was my husband and I went to an Abney Park concert, and they're a steampunk group. And we went to the bar with the band afterward. Like,
that's awesome.
Captain Robert's like, hey, we're going to go to the bar down the street. Who wants to join us? And I sat at a table talking to Captain Robert about chickens and homeschooling.
There you go. And I love talking to celebrities about the most random things because they really do have the best stories.
They really do.
There's no way that you could even put yourself in the position of some of these celebrities because they get, all whisked all over the world and here and there and everywhere. And diarrhea happens and growing up happens and, all these little mishaps happen and stuff. So they do have the best stories and the opportunity to get to ask them. I mean, you could literally go on and say, okay, what's the most embarrassing thing that's happened to you on stage? Because I've asked those questions to these people before. These are questions that People Magazine doesn't normally ask you. I mean,
Right, People Magazine doesn't
that.
want to hear about you having diarrhea on stage, which
When we were talking to CJ Ramon from the Ramones, we had a caller we'll zoom in from Russia, and they were talking about Tolstoy and like philosophy, and I'm sitting here going like, oh my gosh, like the Blitzkrieg Bop is like talking about Tolstoy, like I was like, we knew what they were talking about because CJ Ramon is a very big reader, which I had no idea, and he really is into that kind of stuff. And so this, it was just so cool to see people. It was like 3 o'clock in the morning over in Russia, and they're staying up because they're having like this amazing moment with one of their favorite celebrities. So honestly, my heart feels so good after these shows because people come on and they're just telling people how much they've changed their lives, or something they've done has just encouraged them, and their Instagram has inspired them through the bad nights. And so it really is. There's so many amazing moments. Paul White took his shirt off for a kid in England on our show when he was on, and they're currently raising money for because the child, it was a form of cancer, so they're raising money, and the kid is going to raffle off the shirt, and people are buying tickets and all that stuff. So it's like there's so much more that ends up coming out of the whole fan room experience for so many people, that is just so cool to watch too. So you can also be a spectator. Spectator tickets are like $5 usually when they come out. Everything else is very, and I don't want to say cheap, but it's definitely
affordable.
It's affordable. Yes. I mean, they're like 35 to $50. And you get to have all this time, and, you get a copy of the clip then of you, and then you can take screenshots. People come on and say, hey, can I take a photo of you just on the screen talking to me? Sure, whatever you want. So yeah, it's just a cool thing, and you just got to kind of experience it.
I have to say that I think one of the coolest things about fan room for me, before I even got to the part where I got to be included in one of the fan rooms, was I watched the episode with Paul White.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell you what, to be on this side of the camera, sitting here watching it, it was hard for me not to get choked up when he was, because the thing is when that little boy asked for Paul's shirt,
mm-hmm.
he didn't even hesitate. I mean, he took it off right. And he's like, yeah, this one you got, the one I'm wearing.
Yeah. He was like,
yeah. And he took it off immediately. So, I mean, for you being in there, I mean, how is it, how are you able to keep your composure during times like that? Because there are some emotionally charged moments with your show because of the connection that people have with these celebrities.
Yes. Well, to be honest, I worked in television news as a live broadcast director for 11 years. So I've, learning how to deal with pressure and emotions and all of that kind of stuff is something that I've, learned how to do, just because when you're, I was directing when the Sandy Hook shooting happened with the kids. I mean, like, so I'm there pressing buttons going, please don't let somebody get shot. Please don't, because it's live on the news and I'm just putting up whatever but somebody could have gotten shot on that. So it's like those situations are the ones that I've been used to, and in my career I've dealt with the most. So things like this, I will take that all day. And if I cry, that's even better, because I love to feel like happy emotions and things like that. And it is a moving thing. Like, I'm a mother, so to see that other child over there and to know that you're doing it in England and it's all over the world, and it's so cool, man. Like, really, the possibilities are endless. And to keep my composure, I don't care. I mean, ultimately, it's something that I know how to do. But if it's really moving, like that Paul White thing with the kid, when he was just like, okay. And I'm like, take it off. Because personally, I always like to see him when I go to, the wrestling shows and stuff, because I've been a fan and my kids have obviously been a fan. And I'm friends with a lot of WWE superstars. And so it was just so cool. But I'm like, oh my gosh, even for myself. So I'm like, help the kid by getting, taking your shirt off so I can see it. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's all in good fun. Nobody's getting hurt, and everyone is, banding together and coming to do good things. And so I want to be a part of that stuff, whether it's my actions or not. I want to witness it. I want to see it, because we need to see good things in this world. There's only bad things anymore all over the place. I work in news. So So I want to do some good things. So that's what we're trying to do.
Perfect.
Good things are necessary. And
Yeah.
talking about good things, I want to start the conversation off with the looking through your IMDb. You've got some pretty cool things you've done, including you worked with Kevin Smith. Like,
Yeah, I'm currently working with him on some stuff too. So, I mean, Ernie O'Donnell is my business partner, who is Rick Darris for anybody in like the Clerks world.
yeah,
He's been best friends with Kevin since like 5th grade, and he's been in every one of his shows. So he is my business partner. I love Ernie to death, and so we, do occasionally do some stuff with Kevin. But yeah, I love working with those guys. Marilyn Gigliotti, Veronica from the first Clerks is my roommate out in LA, actually. So she's out
cool.
there. I live with her out there. I work with Ernie out here. He's in Jersey. I'm in Pennsylvania. And like I'm friends with everybody else. Brian O'Halloran, Dante from all of that. He just moved not too far from me. So like maybe 20 minutes or so. So like I get to see him and hang out with him every once in a while. I go to the comic book store a lot. I'm really good friends with a lot of the comic book men. I mean, I'm friends with like their wives and their kids. So it's like more just a whole family dynamic. But it's so cool to go in and be around these people and be like, you guys are the ones who taught me how to curse when I was 11 years old.
Exactly.
Yeah. You're the people my parents warned me about, but you're also the people who made me enough the money so that I could pay my parents, taxes and stuff every year. So isn't that funny, Mom? Isn't that funny? I go, the people you told me to stay away from, like, don't do drugs and stay away from these people. Well, I'm working with most of these people in the entertainment world, and I also work in the CBD and THC industry. And so there's going to be some celebrity collaborations with that aspect of
There's
things.
a little bit of druggage there.
There's a lot of good stuff, man. I'm a melder, So I'm like, oh, look, let's take this, and come up with something and put it together. And it works out. It's really weird. Because I'm always like, okay, I know this is a crazy idea. And it's weird because people come back to me now and they're like, that's not crazy. That's brilliant. And so I'm like, oh, Jesus has got to be coming back soon because I'm making sense. I'm a person in the room. Like, something's going to go on.
Goodness. Oh, when I saw that you worked with Kevin Smith, and I'm like, I love his movies. Like,
yes.
My mom is watching this with me. Oh my gosh. I'm like, yeah. It's my brother's fault. We'll just lay it out there. It's their fault. They introduced me to it.
It's not a bad thing though, man. Like all this stuff's so fun. I'm excited for Clerks 3 too. I was on set in Jersey with them when they were filming it last month. So right before the show that you actually saw, I had gone to Jersey to do the filming, and then I had to go up to Canada for some work stuff, and then after that is when I did the show. But I was on set, and I was with everybody, and it was just so cool. But it's even cooler, I guess, because I'm 38 years old. So when Clerks came out, I was 11. It was 94, and now to like have that be like one of my first big like movies that kind of really got my attention and like had me focusing on other things because I grew up poor. We had like 2 channels on the TV, and that's if you had like the bunny ears.
Trying to go in the right direction.
Yeah, the right way. So Clerks, my friends and I all went into my one friend's basement and we watched it, on VHS tape and stuff. So, and just throughout the whole years and how like his movies have really helped me out. They used to make me laugh when I was depressed and, in college. And you just go back to them and they're just like classics that kind of just take your mind off of things for at least a little bit. Mm-hmm. So to have Clerks 1 be like the very first movie that was like huge for me. And then to be on the set of Clerks 3 and these people are my business partners and my roommates. Like I literally stood back on a couple occasions just to take like 5 seconds and just take it all in and go, wow. Like, I'm just so grateful, to have those full circle moments. And people like, you have to remember to stop and take it in because people forget why they got into the business in the first place and they get frustrated with things over time and whatever. And it's like, this is your passion and this is what you love to do. Sit back when things are good and just take 5 seconds and just go, wow, like I got to appreciate this moment. And you're never going to get it again, So it's like,
right.
it's there, it is there.
Yeah,
so I definitely took those moments in. They were, it wasn't like it was a huge, big, long week of filming. We were there with them for 2 days. I was only there for 2 days on set and stuff with them, but at the end of the day, they become my very good friends. They're people I trust. They're actually really good, genuine, good, kind-hearted people. So I can't
And
complain.
I'm gonna take this back to my brothers with the so you introduced me to these movies and now I get to talk to their friends.
Yes.
Like,
You know, and
see how much cooler I am than they are.
And if you guys ever make it up to Jersey, like I'll meet you up at the Secret Stash and introduce you to everybody, because the Secret Stash, the new one just opened this
I
year.
have found a reason to go to Jersey.
There you go. I'll introduce you to all of them and probably get you a free T-shirt or something too.
Hey,
okay. Yeah.
John, we're going to Jersey.
That's
That
right.
was our editor and my
Yeah.
husband.
So
Yay!
I like how you called him the editor first, you know, and then, oh yeah, by the way, he's my husband.
Yeah,
That's what you do. It's a professional. It's a
Yes,
professional
yes,
title.
very, very professional.
obviously, Tim, I am the
Obviously,
professional here.
we're very professional here. That is such a lie, but yeah, we're professional.
Aren't we all?
I'm trying. I am saying I'm a professional when on top of my computer is a unicorn, a light bright, and a snow globe.
Hey, man.
But I'm a professional.
That's right.
Okay.
But I think that was really good advice you just gave there about taking the time to, you know, take a step back, because I think in anything that you do, even with this, with what we do, there's, you know, in both on this show and our other show, Funny Science Fiction, there's been opportunities for us to be able to talk with people who kind of helped shape our childhoods, and you know, and all these things, and have, you know, and like we got a chance to, and we'll talk about this in a few minutes too. I mean, you got an opportunity to work with him as well, Burt Ward. You know, and for me that was really super just crazy cool, because you know, growing up watching the Batman TV show, and I was a big fan of that and all these different things, and so for me it was really cool to be able to sit there and talk to this guy who was, you know, a big part of my childhood and all these different things. But you know, and I kind of found myself during that interview going, remember this moment, this is cool, this is why you got into this is why you're doing what you do, because you have the opportunity to have these type of conversations.
It's true. It's funny you say that too. I don't know if you know that me and my son were on an episode of Comic Book Men, and it was the Burt Ward episode.
Yeah.
Okay, so because we did the you can Google it. It's on. I know it's on YouTube. They have clips of it, but Burt Ward did, because he has a pet line, a pet food line.
Yeah,
And
Gentle
so
Giants.
he was promoting that on the show when this was happening. This was probably about 2 years ago, and then they had us come in to be the audience, and they only asked like the immediate like family to come in, because it wasn't that big. It was probably like 4 rows of 5 chairs just for the audience. And so when they called me and said, "Hey, how about you and your son come? We want you guys in the family section." I'm like, oh my gosh, like even that, like just sitting there, I didn't say anything on TV, but you saw my face,
Mhm.
you saw my son. And even my son's like, oh my gosh, like he's so excited now. Like he's getting into the business. He's done a few commercials and stuff since then.
Oh,
And
cool.
he's out on a few sets with me, but he also just put together, he's 14. He just put together his friend and another client of mine who's a YouTuber out in Los Angeles, and he put them together. They collaborated, did a song, and then I helped them put together a music video. And my son actually was there to do filming. He was like handling, you know, all of his friends, like the people that
Oh, wow.
the artists. And so last Friday, the video just dropped. It's PYRO featuring 40 Flow, the
Yep.
number 40 Flow, and it's called That Action. And my son's in it. He's the other like person in the video. There's 3 people.
Oh, really? Okay.
So they asked him to be in the video, but at 14, to see him like pushing, wanting to do this stuff, is because he said that he's been watching me, and so, but then he's like, I want to understand why you do what you do. So when he started putting things together and things were frustrating, he was like coming to me, Mom, I don't know what to do. I'm like, okay, well, you got to get on this person, you got to tell him this, and if it doesn't work out, then like they don't get this opportunity again. He was listening to me, did very well. And then to have the video come out last week, he's like, oh, I get it now. I get it. You know, and it's like all
That's
this hard
awesome.
work, and like you gotta do it. But then once it comes together, it is the best natural high that you will ever experience, which I'm sure you both, you know, have experienced before.
Oh, sure.
I mean, with this podcast and all the stuff you do, it's like you work so hard and everybody's like trying to knock it down, or this isn't working, or that's not lining up. And then when it comes together, you're just like, oh, why
And
is nobody standing up and slow clapping for me?
Right.
You know what I
When
mean?
we launched our first episode of this podcast, our first interview for Pop Culture Addicts was with Carol Baskin.
Whoa. I mean,
know.
the King lady. I mean,
Yes, it was amazing. And it was so funny. It's like when Tim's like, hey, so I booked an interview with Carol Baskin, and I'm like, what?
That's crazy. And that's awesome. How was she to interview?
Amazing.
A lot of fun,
Amazing.
actually. She, the thing is, I think a lot of people just watched Tiger King and based their opinion of her off that one single documentary, which was, basically about meth heads and tigers. And
during COVID, what else do we have to do?
exactly, we were bored. And honestly, I found her to be very engaging, very, very friendly, very funny. She's extremely intelligent about tigers and what's going on with them and all those things, which made for a really nice conversation.
That's great. I wanted to go down to her place in Tampa. I know that they still have that wildlife place because I go back and forth to Florida quite a bit. I have a place in Daytona too. So I was down there the last 2 weeks. I just got back on Sunday. But I was looking at that and I was like, I need to go down there. I need to go check it out. Like it's in Tampa, I believe. So
yeah,
that's so cool.
Out, so I want to ask you a question, Stacey, because I see the word, and we all do this. We see the words producer, associate, or executive producer. Every time we watch the credits of something, there's always, whether it's a movie, a TV show, whatever, there's always a producer. But I venture a guess that the majority of us who are watching or listening, including myself, don't really understand what the role of a producer is when it comes to filmmaking or anything like that. So, or what the differences are between the types of producers. So I was hoping that since we have a real live producer here with us, a real live one, that's right, that I was hoping you could help us understand this better. What is a producer? What exactly does a producer do for a movie or a TV show?
Okay, so originally, after I got out of live TV news, I only knew live TV news producers. And so that's what I thought a producer was. And then when I got into film and television, people started telling me, you're a producer. And I'm like, no, I'm not. Like, I saved their butts like when we were in news and stuff. That's not me. Then my friends in film started to explain what a producer is. So I can give you a basic gist, but essentially a producer does anything to produce. So you can be a producer, like a lot of people will get like maybe a co-producer or associate producer credit if they've like connected somebody to maybe either a distribution company, the main celebrity who's going to be on the show.
Okay.
Anything that has an aspect, but it's not on a giant scale, but it's enough that like if it wasn't for them, then like maybe we wouldn't have the star of the show because they're friends. So we're just giving them the credit so that they can also, get paid for their help. Otherwise, the regular producer for me, it's essentially you put everything in your crew together, and then people tell me what they need and I go out and I get it. I assemble things in line. I get distribution. You do the marketing, the publicity. You're literally hiring and dealing with cast and crew and schedules and money. And executive producers are the ones who really are the either inventor of the project, the show or the film, or the person who's investing and funding the whole thing. Executive producers are usually the people who started the show or, film, and then the people who fund it. Co-executive producers, pretty much the same thing because they could be funding it at a smaller level. It's essentially all of these titles are basically whatever you negotiate, but they're all a type of producer. So whatever you produce, that is where your title is going to come into play. But there's no like set definition for, like a taxi driver, they drive a taxi. A producer, they're driving the whole project, cast, crew, everything differently. But that's why you also have, multiple producers so that people like me don't have to do everything. I already know what my strengths are and So if I can work with somebody else on the team where they're my weak, I don't want to say weaknesses because they're not weaknesses. We can always figure it out. But if they have a stronger connection with people, say for distribution or for this or for that, then I love collaborating with people that are cool. As long as you're cool, like my number one rule is don't be an a-hole. And you think it's simple, you think, but
It seems to be a harder and harder thing to do as the years go by.
you're right. You're right. So I'm sorry I can't give you like a definition, but
No, I think that's a pretty good answer though. That helps me understand it because,
Mhm.
in my mind, when I think of a producer, I was kind of thinking something along the same lines, but I wasn't exactly sure. It seemed to me like it was somebody in the background going, "Hey, go do this, go do that, go do this."
Mhm.
But you know, the "Hey, go do that" probably didn't look well or look good on the movie credits.
No, but and that's the thing. Like 100 Acres of Hell, which is the horror film that I helped do with WWE Superstar Gene Snitsky and Ernie O'Donnell from Clark's, and it's currently out and streaming on like Amazon and Vudu and like 30 other platforms. Um, but even like with that one, gosh, there's so many things that just come into play. But there's like the one investor came in just with like the last little bit of money, so he became executive producer, and then we also had all the credits from crowdfunding and all that stuff in there. I mean, there's so much, but ultimately that movie was the one that launched my whole career because I ended up being the production manager, which is running the whole production. So that was like my first gig, was running the whole production. A week on my first it was my first week on a film set since leaving TV news. And people just assume that I know what I'm doing because I like to ask questions. I have a natural curiosity. And I always figure you should learn how things work. I'm not saying get into like, micromanaging details, but I was like, well, I want to see how it works. And my questions ended up leading to finding out people were not using money properly and doing like the right paperwork for the union stuff. And so ultimately I got the job because my questions figured out that other people weren't doing theirs. And then they said, oh, well, if you could figure this out in a week, then we want you to do the job. And I'm like, you guys know I don't know how to do this. You'll figure it out. So I literally ordered filmmaking for dummies. This was like 8 years ago when I was doing 100 Acres of Hell. But I ordered filmmaking for dummies. There is no producer for dummies. I'm literally taking notes as I've been going through the years because I want to come out with one, and I will reach out to the For Dummies franchise and see if I could write one. But I think that's on purpose because the more I do figure it out, the more I realize that producers, do so much stuff. I mean, you're producing me right now.
Woohoo!
Hope we're getting paid for it.
Look, Tim, you're a producer.
Yay! Okay. I kept when you were saying I'm gonna reach out. I was like, please say to the dummies. I'm gonna reach out to the dummies.
Yes, I'm
Please say
reaching
to
out
the
to the dummies. That's how I've learned literally everything. Like I was trying to see because I had a bunch of those around here. But in my office, I have just literally everything from like hydroponics to Spanish for dummies to like English grammar for I just collect For Dummies books because I like to learn stuff, but I have ADHD, so I like to learn it fast, quick, easy, and okay, this
Fair enough.
Uh,
so COVID was fun too because I got what is it called, like I became a reverend so I can marry people like online. I was just like, I mean, literally, I was taking classes at Harvard online for law and everything because I always like to take classes and stuff. So I was literally doing so much stuff during.
Is there anything you don't do? That's what I'm curious about now.
Yes, I don't parallel park. I can't do
parallel parking is horrible.
that. Yeah, I mean there's a lot of stuff I really can't do, but I realize like parallel parking. I know I can't do it. I'm from the country. I grew up in the country. Now I bought a car that parallel parks for me. So
Smart.
technology's working,
Oh goodness. So Stacey, being in the career that you're in and the position that you're in that career, do you feel that it's hard to be taken seriously because you're a woman. I know that that's something that a lot of people struggle with. We actually had talked to Trish and Rebecca from 180 Sisterhood. They're a production company in Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. And they said the same thing, that there have been times that they've said, no, this is not how we're going to do it. And it's oh, but you're just a dumb girl. It's like, no,
Yeah.
this is our
No,
company. This is our show.
I definitely have gotten that before. The thing that I guess, and I hate saying this stuff because I don't want to sound like I'm bragging. I'm really not. But once people realize, like, I went to school at Oxford University in England and Harvard. So, like, I went to the best schools in the world. I have master's degrees. I've been honored at Parliament. Once they kind of like figure that stuff out, or, I might just nonchalantly say it if they're being kind of a jerk about stuff. They're like, yeah, you're right. I only went to Oxford and Harvard, so I only have a master's degree. Where did you go to school? Like, if they're being a jerk. But honestly, that's the only time I've ever used my degrees. It's never gotten me a better paycheck. It's never gotten me, a promotion. It's never done anything. The only time I've ever used my degrees was just to tell people, I think I know what I'm talking about, so shut up, kind of thing.
A very polite bite me.
Yeah, it's only if you've ever put me in that position. It's only, maybe 2 or 3 times my whole life. But at the end of the day, yeah, that kind of stuff, once people realize that, you can't really say that you're stupid, especially because people call me in to save their ass. I'm like the queen of the loophole. So I know how things work. I learn how to make it work for me, and then people hire me for it. So go ahead, call me stupid because I'm saving your ass and taking some of your money too for doing it. But as far as that, I've had people, one of the first other big, it was a $15 million film. It was going to be done through Universal. And I actually ended up pulling the money for it because people weren't doing the right thing. But as I was going through the entire process, working with the other 2 producers who were out on the West Coast, they would say things like, you don't know what you're talking about because you're in Pennsylvania. You've never worked out here for all the major studios, so you don't know. Well, I ended up pulling the money, and those other producers lost their jobs. So it's like, for their other stuff, because they didn't know what they were talking about.
Right.
That had nothing to do with me. But it was just like, at the end of the day, all these people who like to tell you, oh, I know and I'm better than you, and I'm this, shut up. That's not how people treat each other. That's not how it works. I don't care. Nobody cares about my degrees or where I went to school or that I did this or that, but it definitely helps to get people to take you seriously. People definitely try to take advantage of, wanting to take me out or trying to like hit on me or try to get me in situations. And it's like, dude, I tell them I killed my first husband. I've been a widow now for 10 years, a widowed single mom of 2 boys. They're 16 and 14. I have 2 teenage boys, one who's driving. Like, are you kidding me? Like, I don't need to deal with all this other nonsense stuff. So, but once you do establish yourself and people respect you, your character stays with you. And that's one thing I always try to tell people in the movies. When I leave that theater, my character has to come with me. It doesn't stay in the theater, unlike other people's. Right. So that once you start building up your character and your reputation and it's a good one and you do the best work you can, that starts to actually kick in and people start to trust me. And then more people actually call me now because other people have said, hey, she's helped me here. Oh, she's helped me here. So, it ends up working out better in the long run, and I wouldn't get hung up on it. But the Me Too movement, I think, was a huge thing that, helped to open a lot of doors for women. So it's like, take advantage of the situation, but don't cry about it. Like, if you're going to step it up, like as a woman, me too, I have to step it up and I'm going to be the businesswoman. I'm going to have to deal with the stress and I can't, complain about it and cry and whine like all this other stuff. Like, do something about it and give yourself the opportunity, but, make sure you take advantage of it too.
Yeah.
So
sure. That's something that I appreciate hearing you say it with the, no, just go and do it. I have a 3-year-old daughter. Like, she is 100% into the, I'm going to do it myself. And it's like, I want you to have that attitude. I want you to know that you can go out there and throat punch somebody when they deserve it. Like, I want her to grow up to be that person.
Well, have to be an attorney then, because if she's throat punching people, she's definitely going to need it these days. No, but I understand. That's so cute, though.
It's good to hear the I don't want to say girl power because that sounds wrong, but you can do it. You can step up and do it. Like, I like that.
How many times have we all failed? Like, way more than we've succeeded.
Just today.
Yeah, just today. I know.
Right? Yeah, just today when I had to rip the entire car seat apart because she dumped chocolate milkshake in it.
Don't you love that? That happened to my son once too, and it went into the little vents into because I had the back seat. I had leather seats at the time, and they went all into those little tiny pinholes because they had like heated seats in the back, and so the seat in the back wouldn't heat up, so I had to get it.
See, and that's the thing, is the seat that hers is in is a heated seat, but luckily I had one of those plastic or rubber like seat protectors.
Smart.
So
Smart
it didn't
mom.
get to the leather, but then there is melted chocolate milkshake that I have to try to figure out how to get the plastic container thing out of my car without spilling it, and then I ended up dumping it all over the front of myself. But it didn't go in my car.
That's okay. You're a good mom. You're the fact that you're doing it. You're a good mom.
I'm not gonna let my car smell like sour milk.
Yes,
Change your clothes, quick shower. None's
Right?
any the wiser.
It's all
You're
good.
good to go.
yes, you didn't lose your dignity, so that's good.
I just put on my Shroot Farm pants and I
That's
called it a day.
There you go.
I love it.
All right, Stacey, silly question time.
Mhm.
All right, you can answer it as silly or as serious as you'd like to. That's up to you. All right.
Okay.
All right. So I want you to tell me something that you believe is true that almost no one agrees with you on.
Oh, geez.
You're welcome.
Something that's true that nobody agrees with me on. There's so many though. It's like because nobody agrees with me, and then like a year later they'll come back and go, "Hey, you were right." Okay, so right now one of the big things, and I guess I'll answer it a little bit seriously because maybe I want a little business after this if anybody's
Sure.
listening. There are quite a few of my friends that have the ability because they're musicians or artists or whatever to do NFTs in the crypto world. I don't know if you're familiar with non-fungible tokens.
Mhm.
Well, I'm very big, not me personally in the crypto world, but not my name or my likeness, but I am very active in crypto world. I go to like the crypto conventions, the Bitcoin conventions, and all over the place. But I forget where I was going with that at that. I was just talking. I lost my train of thought. Okay, so the NFT thing. Okay, so celebrities aren't really trusting me, but because they don't know what things are, and I'm trying to
Sure.
explain what stuff is. But as if anybody who knows like the crypto world or NFTs, like it's really kind of difficult to understand and wrap your head around to begin with. But it's something I've been studying and dealing with for like the last 2.5 years, 2 years or so. So
Mhm.
I'm doing and I'm going to some of my famous friends that have done stuff for decades that is just iconic. And I'm like, come on, let's do an NFT. Like you have the rights to it. I know how to do it. You can make the money on it. And a lot of them are just too scared because they don't know what to do and they're not
Right.
hearing. So that's one thing that I think is stupid. But I'm saying it out loud because in the event that somebody that's listening to this wants to do an NFT, you can always call me because we just started a corporation for doing those things too on the side.
Hey.
So that's one thing. Sorry, it was a little.
No, it's good. That's good. Yeah, I just okay. So I'm one of those people who when like all these different coins and things came out, I was like, yeah, whatever. But I started following another podcast, a buddy of mine who talks a lot about the different these different NFTs and coins and things in the background and whatever else. And I won like $600 or 600 points or coins. I'm not really sure how this all works out and what the transactional value is. Like it could be worth 6 cents for all I know. But I had to create this account with this thing, and pretty sure I forgot the password at this point now. But anyway, it's sitting out there for me, and it's one of those things I need to start learning more about. So I'm actually kind of interested to hear that you know something about that. We might be talking later once I try to figure out what the hell I've got here.
Yes, we're gonna be coming out with some NFTs for major like A-list major power players in the next couple months, and we're working on those now. I can't wait to be able to tell you. I want to come back on your show so I can because it totally fit into the pop
Yeah,
culture.
absolutely.
Yeah. As soon as your non-disclosure agreements expire.
No, and they're my own, dang it. That's the part that's I'm like, I can't talk because it's my own contract. So it's like I really can't talk.
I did it to myself.
It's not like somebody else can sue me. No, I have to be responsible.
Why are you here? Well, I'm here to sue myself. So
Good thing I took all those law classes at Hartford during COVID, right?
Hey, so
my
you can
God.
sue yourself while being your own attorney.
exactly.
There you go.
Either way, you win.
High five me.
Oh goodness. So Stacey, we talked about your IMDb list a little bit, and I mean, we've talked about working with Kevin Smith. We talked about working with Burt Ward. I about split when I saw that you worked with Bam Margera.
Oh yeah, we did Jackass stuff when I was in college when they were like big because we were all friends with like my one friend actually he opened up the skate shop in Philadelphia with some of these guys, and so I just ended up getting to know them through the years. In fact, the Jackass guys used to come up here to Northeast PA to a place that was probably about 5 miles from my house here in the middle of nowhere, and it was like a random skate park in the 90s. And we, like, my friends all have videos of stuff of like Steve-O up there, Johnny Knoxville up there, like they all used to come up here, and so we all kind of met before. And then once, you know, Viva La Bam and Jackass and all those big movies came out, I actually did get pushed off of a roof in a garbage can from them at one point in time. It was not filmed. It wasn't going to be, it was just one of those like, hey, we're here. And I'm like, you know, like back then in college when you always, you know, doing drugs and partying and stuff like that. I'm like, throw me off of the
It's sad that it didn't get
it was
filmed, because that
Oxford
would
and
be
Harvard,
awesome.
right? Throw me off a roof in a garbage can.
See, and I think that was what threw me when I read it, was I looked at your bio and the Oxford and Harvard and Bam Margera. What?
Dude, I like that's the thing is I'm not the typical person at all. Like I used to be addicted to drugs like opioids. You know, I was taking like 70 to 100 a day back when I was at Oxford because my tolerance is so high. I mean, it was over 5 years, so like it's not like I took it,
Right.
I die. But you know, as your tolerance builds up over time, they used to give me energy. But I've been clean now. Actually, the end of this month, October 27th, will be 18 years since all my hard drugs use. So
Awesome.
I'm excited, and
You should be.
I'm really, you know, they're writing a movie now based off of my life because ultimately at the end I went through my stuff, and then 10 years ago I lost my husband to an accidental overdose after he got home from the Navy from dealing with PTSD. And so I ended up forgiving and helping the guy who shot him up. He died of a heroin overdose, but he didn't know how to do those drugs because he never was into that. So the guy that did shoot him up and essentially killed him, I met with him and was like, okay, I knew he was shooting like 50 plus bags a day and had lost his 2 sons and his wife because of his actions. So I said, listen, I will help you to get sober and get your family back, you know, and I'll forgive you if you can become the husband to your wife and the father to your 2 sons that mine can no longer be. And right now he's clean now for 10 years, last 10 years. He has his
Awesome.
family back. He has a job and a business. But ultimately at the end of the day, him and I are now the only one. We were the two that were really the worst out of this whole situation. And because I did help him after the loss of my husband, him and I are now the only ones left alive out of the whole story. Everyone else has died from addiction. So it's like it's just unbelievable to see what has happened over the years. But it's even cooler to know that, you know, there's people writing a film based off of all of that stuff. Just because I don't want to be like this star and oh look at me, I did this. But I do remember being up and going through withdrawal and not having anybody to talk to at 3 a.m. and like contemplating suicide because it's like so bad. So I wanted to make a movie like this where it could be inspiring because it's still going to be R-rated. It's going to be sex, drugs, rock and roll because that's what my life was at that point in time.
Right.
But also, you know, how I got back into, you know, with my faith and my life and just getting back into every day and then trying to make something good come from something bad when my husband died. And you know, just that whole learning process, like you can help yourself, but you have to want to help yourself, because if you don't, then, they don't always survive or whatever. But instead of taking this guy to prison and ruining his life, because ultimately he'd been there before. So this was like a second home to him. I'm like, I have to try something different. So I'm like, I'm going to try and help him. I mean, he killed my husband. He helped kill my husband, but he could have told me to go F myself, and I'd have been okay with that, because at least I knew I tried. But I'm really glad that it worked out the way that it did work out. And it's a powerful story, and I'm super stoked about that. But that was back in the day.
And what
Yeah.
an amazing thing for your boys to have to look up to, for your sons to look up to you with if she can forgive the guy who killed dad and help him, how much more
Yeah,
can
and
they do in their lives?
they're friends with his kids and stuff now too, and like we all help each other out. But it's a dynamic that it's taken a decade to get to this
Right.
point.
Sure. I'm
I
sure.
I'm really happy about the outcome and seeing how it is, and I am thrilled, and I hope that my boys do. I know that they watch my every moves, and me and my kids are very close now that they're teenagers. We talk about a lot more. Like I like to treat them like an adult, and
Yep.
I don't like to hide stuff. Like they know exactly what happened with their dad, and we've worked through that, because I just don't I don't want to have any more trauma or any other
Right.
things. Like I am a through it, not around it person. So if you got a problem,
Exactly.
go through it and deal with it. And however we need to deal with it, we will. I don't care if it's counseling, doctors, whatever we need to do, let's
Right.
do it. But I'm a through it, not around it.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And this seems like a good a time as any for a shameless plug. If you'd like to hear more about Stacey's story, you can always go listen to Focused on Forward, another show that I host. And Stacey was a guest there, and that's how Stacey and I met, actually, was through Focused on Forward, and had an opportunity to meet and talk about this exact story. So and she goes into much more detail in it there, but it's a very powerful story. And I'm so glad to hear that they are actually that we are going to get a movie adaptation of
Yes.
this. I'm looking forward to it, because it's not very often that I get to sit in a movie theater or even at my home and go, I know that person.
Okay, so if they're doing a movie based off of your life,
Mhm.
who do you want to have play you, or do you want to do it yourself?
No, I am not on screen. No. Well, I can kind of tell you, because it's not like the script's being written right now and nothing is set in stone. But somebody who had reached out and expressed interest over the last maybe 2 years or so was Michelle Williams, who was Heath Ledger's.
Oh, yeah.
She's a single widowed mom from him overdosing.
Yeah.
Play my part. So I don't know if that's going to work out, but just the fact that, I mean, I think that would be wonderful, because it's a role that she's played in real life, and
Yeah.
she knows what that.
Great emotional tie-in.
Yes,
Yeah,
but
it's close to her heart, so she'd be able to show that emotion in it.
yes, absolutely. And if I want somebody to play me, like, it would be important for me to make sure that they do it the right way. And if you've already like, that's something that you really do have to experience. Like, not everybody's a widow, and most people that you say widow or all that stuff, they're usually much, much older. They're not, like, I was 28 when I became a single widow mom. My kids were 6 and 4, and I was all by myself. And there was a lot of issues with the family, so I never got any of the insurance money or anything.
Of course not.
No, so I've started everything out from scratch, and I did it all by myself, and still took care of my boys and built up my businesses. And I just am one of these people that, I mean, I grew up on a farm. Like, you don't quit. It's not what you do. You don't give up. You just got to keep going, keep planting seeds, and keep figuring out how to reap the best harvest. And so that's what we do.
Excellent.
My mother-in-law was 40 when she became a widow.
Mm.
With a 15-year-old son.
That, and the one thing I don't want to say grateful for, but like, I am a little bit happier, I guess, than my kids were younger, because if they had gotten to know their dad, as and it happened now, I think it would be way more impactful, because they were so young. Like I said, 6 and 4. So it wasn't like they still were very, very close with their dad, obviously, but it was easier, I think, to help them as they got bigger, and support them. And I always ask them, and we always talk about stuff, and I always make sure they know. And
if it happened when they were older, there might be a deeper sense of loss, perhaps.
That's exactly
I
right.
know that, like, with my husband, it went from the 15, it was right before he turned 16. So that whole puberty, becoming a man, suddenly everybody in your family says, well, you're the man of the house now
Yep.
at 15.
And
Right.
that's a lot on your shoulders.
It is. And his
But
dad's death was very traumatic. And it's not something that you go through easily at all.
No, definitely not. And so I give your mom a lot of credit too for dealing with that, because I would never wish this on anybody. Even if you don't like your spouse or significant other, you never want to have to go through that.
Lots and lots of therapy.
Lots of, yeah. And then, I don't know, it was just, and my husband was in the Navy and stuff. So like the whole military honors, I mean, I was so proud of him. But it still sucks because that's a huge issue. I mean, there's a lot of people coming back from the military, and they don't have the resources at the VA to help a lot of people, because I know we really tried. My husband went to a lot of doctors, for his depression and for PTSD. I mean, he was on the aircraft carriers and saw people get cut in half because, when the aircraft carrier land, that cord that catches the aircraft carrier or the aircraft snapped and stuff. So I know he's seen some extremely traumatic things that were his very good friends that died. And,
Sure.
So I know when he came back, he also decided to not re-up his thing, because he saw so many people, their wives were cheating on them. Their kids didn't know them as a parent. And so he wanted to not have that. And, but when he got home, it was like, he was a jet mechanic on the aircraft carriers, but where are you going to find work for that, in Pennsylvania? So he was really struggling hard to find a job, because the military pays for everything. They pay for all your bills. They pay for it. And then when you have to start doing it all yourself, you don't really know how that works. And so I was trying to help him transition into that kind of life. Plus, we had the kids and we were trying to get married. It was just an awful lot at once, but we were trying very hard to get him a lot of help, and it just, it didn't happen. And I know that he just wanted some relief. And so it's not like he committed suicide or anything. It was an accidental one. Not cool, nevertheless. But, it's just, I know that there's so many people out there that are suffering and going through depression and just trying to find a little bit of relief. And like, sometimes that's just one wrong move and it ends up taking you out. So got to start planting new seeds to try to make people think healthier ways of, going about and doing things and inspiring people. It's about perspective. You change the perspective, you change the reaction.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right. So, Stacey, we have enjoyed talking to you so much today. This has been amazing to get to know about you and know about your work. But where can our viewers and our listeners go to find out more about your work and what you've got coming within the lines of your own
NDAs.
non-disclosure agreements?
I love you guys. Thank you guys all so much for having me on too. I'll come back anytime. You guys are so much fun. You can find me on Instagram, Stacey Toy, STACEYTOY. Don't forget the E, or else you're getting like my cousins who aren't as fun and all that stuff. I'm on LinkedIn. My Facebook was hacked. So I'm working with Facebook actually to try and get it back, because there's just so many like pictures and people and all that stuff that I was trying so hard to salvage if I could. But if not, people will be getting a new friend request from me. So Instagram, LinkedIn, and all the other press releases and stuff for right now.
Very good.
Yes.
Awesome. We are going to link all of those in our description so that our viewers and listeners can find you.
Woo-hoo. Thank you guys so much.
Like we did.
In a non-creepy way. So, all right, guys, want to just remind you that subscribing is the single most important thing you can do to ensure that we get more amazing guests like the amazing Stacey Toy here, so that we get to have great conversations for you guys to listen to. So please subscribe. It helps more than we can ever really tell you. And remember, kids, pop culture, it's all around you. It influences every single portion of our lives. So be sure to come back next week, because we're going to have your fix waiting right here for you.
Thanks again, Stacey.
Thank you guys so much.
Thanks, everybody. Have a good day. On behalf of the rest of the hosts of the FSF Podcast, we want to thank you for listening to this episode. If you'd like to be a guest on a future episode, please contact us by means of Twitter or Instagram using the handle @FSF Podcast. Or go to www.fsfpopcast.com and click on the Contact Me link. Thanks again, and hope you enjoyed the episode.